Listen closely to what you say when no one is around. Not the polished words you use in public, not the clever explanations you give others, the quiet ones, the phrases you repeat under your breath, the sentences you aim at yourself when you fail, the casual remarks you think don't matter, because those words are not harmless. They are instructions, and right now, they're shaping your reality more than any decision you think you've made. You don't notice it because it feels normal. You say things like, "I'm just not that kind of person. This is how life works. It's too late for me. I already know how this ends." You think you're being honest. You think you're being realistic, but what you're actually doing is programming limits into your perception, and once language builds a wall, reality rarely bothers to climb over it. Ancient thinkers understood this long before psychology tried to measure it. Plato believed words were not neutral symbols, but vessels of truth or distortion. Language, he argued, doesn't merely describe reality. It selects which parts of reality you're allowed to see. If you name the world poorly, you live poorly inside it. Nietzsche went further. He warned that most people never truly think. They repeat inherited phrases, moral slogans, cultural habits, social scripts, words spoken so often they harden into beliefs, beliefs repeated so long they become identity. And once identity forms, reality follows. Here's the uncomfortable truth. You don't experience life as it is. You experience life as you describe. It's your words filter chaos into meaning. They tell you what's possible, what's dangerous, what's not for someone like you. And the brain, loyal, obedient, builds your attention around those instructions. This is not motivation. This is mechanics. Modern psychology calls this linguistic framing, the way language structures perception, emotion, and behavior. Tell someone they're broken, and they look for evidence. Tell someone they're becoming, and they look for progress. The facts don't change. The field of vision does. Your nervous system responds to words as if they were reality itself, because to the brain, they are. Bonhoeffer warned that the most dangerous lies are the ones we repeat to ourselves without resistance. Not because they're dramatic, but because they're quiet. I don't have a choice. I'm not meant for more. That's just who I am. Say something often enough, and it stops feeling like a sentence. It feels like gravity. But here's the twist most people miss. Manipulating words doesn't mean lying to yourself. It means reclaiming authorship. Because right now, many of your most powerful sentences were written by someone else. A parent, a teacher, a moment of shame, a single failure that spoke too loudly, and you've been living inside that vocabulary ever since. Think about it. When something goes wrong, what's the first sentence your mind reaches for? Is it curious or condemning? Is it flexible or final? Most people don't realize they speak to themselves the way an enemy would. Harsh, absolute, unforgiving, and then they wonder why their world feels narrow. Machiavelli understood this from a darker angle. He knew control doesn't require force only. Narrative defined the language, and you define the limits of imagination. This is why regimes fear poets, why revolutions begin with slogans, why a single phrase can ignite or paralyze millions. Words don't move reality directly. They move people, and you are a person listening. Here's where it gets uncomfortable. If your life feels stuck, repetitive, or smaller than it should be. It's not because you lack potential. It's because you're rehearsing the same descriptions, same complaints, same justifications, same identity statements. Reality is obedient. It gives you exactly what your language expects, but the moment you change how you speak, something destabilizes not. Magically, structurally, when you stop saying, "I can't," and start saying, "I don't know how yet," your mind searches when you replace. This always happens with "this is happening now." The future reopens when you stop calling fear a weakness and start calling it information. Behavior shifts not because you forced positivity, but because you removed finality. Nietzsche called this the revaluation of values, not inventing fantasy, but reinterpreting meaning. Strength doesn't eliminate fear, it renames it. Wisdom doesn't deny pain, it frames it. Freedom doesn't come from better circumstances, but from language that leaves room to move. This is why silence is so powerful, not because words are dangerous, but because they're creative. In silence, you can finally hear which sentences are running you, which ones close doors, which ones shrink you, which ones were never yours to begin with, and once you notice them, they lose authority. So here's the question that lingers long after this video ends. If your words are shaping your reality, who's been speaking through you? And what happens the moment you choose your language with intention, not to control the world, but to stop unconsciously limiting it? Because the most radical change doesn't begin with action, it begins with a sentence you refuse to repeat. And once that sentence dissolves, reality doesn't open up because the world changed, it opens up because you finally did.